Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
Can we get serious now?
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
Hey everybody, this is Bob Bender. You're listening to the latest edition of the Business Side of Music. In the studio today, an artist that I just had the opportunity to meet, but I got to tell you, this guy's got a rich history. I was looking at his bio that his publicist sent me a week or so ago, and just couldn't stop digging what I was reading. This guy's, man, I tell you, he's really got a nice story to tell. Billy Droze is in the studio with us today. Some of you may know the name. He at one point was the lead singer for Shenandoah. But more importantly, he's written some great songs. You Never Know, Daryl Worley, Free Again, of course, with Shenandoah. That's Why I Run, Billy Yates, which was #1 in Europe. Bottle Was a Bible. I actually want to hear about that song and how that came about. Junior Sis did that one. And then one of my favorite artists, Jamie O'Neill, did Like I Do. Billy, welcome to the show.
It's awesome to be here, man. Pleasure.
Thank you. So, I was reading your bio. You were born in Louisiana, and you started up, I guess, in the business. You wanted to be a musician pretty much all your life.
Yeah, I've been doing this since we started out when I was like 5 in churches and playing all around southern Alabama and North Alabama where I grew up. I was born in Louisiana, but we kind of like gypsies. We've been all over the place.
And you were playing with your dad?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What kind of music? Who influenced you when you got started here?
Well, definitely my dad. He didn't. There wasn't a day that went by that we didn't play, a lot of Southern gospel and a lot of old country music. And so he infused into me like just, the love of like Slim Whitman and Lefty Frizzell, and like as far back as you can dig back. Marty Robbins was a big favorite of his and mine. And so those are a lot of my, first influences. And heard George Jones and Keith Whitley, and I was never the same after that.
That was it. You were done.
Yeah.
So you toured with your dad for a while and wound up in Texas.
Yep.
And then at a certain point in your life, you decided it was time to move to Nashville, which is where you've been ever since. Yeah,
I did a short stint back home in North Alabama, and that's Boaz, Alabama. So it's a good 2.5, 3 hours from downtown Nashville. And I wasn't. I wanted something more than that. So I knew it wasn't that far to get up to Nashville. So I started sneaking up here when I was about 16, 17 years old, and just got the bug, man, and came up here. Lived in my car, all that good stuff that you can talk about afterwards.
But a lot of people do that. That's how they get started. We've had guests on the show that did kind of the same thing. They'd sleep in tents until they could afford to find an apartment. And
never did the tent. I had a 1982 Ford Escort and behind the Mount Juliet VFW, so that was quite interesting at the time.
At least you had a roof over your head.
Yeah, it was a roof.
How'd you get into songwriting?
Well, I'll tell you what. I came when I finally got here and started getting some things happening. At around 18, 19, I signed with Sony BMG, RCA.
And that was going to be a record deal initially, right?
Yeah, we signed for a country record deal. And it was actually like a developmental deal under Jim Catino and Joe Galani there and Renee Bell. And Mark Bright was producing the project. And so we, I'm more of a rootsy kind of artist. And so I wanted to do more of a traditional type thing. And at that time, country music was really starting to take the turn. That was like almost one of the first phases of it taking a turn toward more of a, cultured pop sound than what I was used to singing. So that never developed into a lot of great relationships and whatnot, but it never really developed into what, I had planned or hoped for. But the George Strait career I was looking for, but that's okay. God's got His plans and His time, and they're way better than ours. But to answer your question, the songwriting came about from having the developmental deal in RCA. and I met a guy named Billy Yates, and he had a publishing company that he had just started, and he had said that he was a little interested in possibly signing me onto a publishing deal, and that was good for me because that got me out of my car. And so we did, and I wrote for him for about 2.5 years, and just I made great relationships with tons of just huge hit songwriters, and they all kind of took me under their wing and showed me what it was, what the art of songwriting is really about. And so once you learn how to do it, coupled with, I believe, a gift from God, I believe it's what it takes to do it. So.
And those that are listening to the show, you're obviously hearing a guitar in the background, which is
I'm a noodler, sorry.
No, that's cool. We typically don't have an instrument on the show, so this is quite a unique opportunity. And we're going to have you play a couple songs here in a few minutes. So no, keep noodling on the guitar. That's cool. We talk about the music scene, and especially country music and where it is, and compared to where it was back in the old George Jones days and George Strait and those types of artists that obviously were influencing you, Marty Robbins. You've drifted, maybe that's not the correct word, but you've turned into a direction of bluegrass music, right?
Well, see, you can't really not be bluegrass when you're from Sand Mountain, Alabama. So I was always really heavily rooted in bluegrass music, and so, but I was always coming from, because back in the day, you didn't really have a defining line that was saying, okay, this is bluegrass or this is country. I mean, a lot of times you could hear Roy Acuff, and then you could also hear. It was a very, very well blended thing.
We didn't look at music as so genre specific back then, like we do now, right?
And so that's the kind of mentality I came from. And so, with that being said, I mean, with my father being so instilled in country music, it was just kind of the thing to do, I guess, to go to town and want to be Randy Travis or whatever, and have that kind of career. But after 6 years, I'd always really, really had high hopes on cutting some bluegrass albums. And after about 6 years or so, I called a friend of mine, Ronnie Bowman, up, and he's, I would say, iconic in bluegrass music history. He's awesome, and part of the Lonesome River Band, and written just several, founded it, I guess, and written several just amazing songs in country and bluegrass as well. And I said, man, let's cut a bluegrass record. And he said, are you serious? I said, I'm dead serious. Yeah. So he said, well, come up with X amount of dollars and let's do it. And so everything else just kind of fell in place, and we hired the best of the best and to get behind it. And that's really, to be honest with you, where musically I really got to take off in a way, because bluegrass music is, that's what I do. And so,
and that's your passion.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you got guys like Ricky Skaggs and Keith Whitley and just Chris Stapleton, the list goes on and on, that of people that were rooted in bluegrass and migrated to country, or vice versa. I mean, in my opinion, I think some of the most world-class or the best world-class musicians they come from bluegrass music. And what I love about it is just it's very respectable that if you're playing in bluegrass, you better know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
you can't fool the people.
No, you cannot.
Yeah.
Believe me, I show up with a Taylor at festivals, and they're like, it's not a Martin. But, it's just all part of it, and it's all how much heart you put into it.
And that record was called To Whom It May Concern, right?
Yes, sir.
Which garnered an unprecedented 5 number one singles, which I got to tell you is hard to accomplish in any genre of music.
We're just blessed.
Especially bluegrass, which is, it's a small field. So that's great. And then, of course, I guess you were nominated for a Grammy.
No, we got
considered for a Grammy.
Considered last year. And, but Lord willing, we will this coming up year. So,
yeah.
But just to even know that you're recognized on platforms, that significant is enough for me. So
you got a song off that album you'd like to play?
Off that album?
Yeah.
All right. So this was our first number one record off of the album To Whom It May Concern. Little thing called, let me make sure my guitar's in tune. That's not the name of it, but it just started opening a lot of doors. I wrote this song with my brother one late night in my studio there back in Santa Fe, Tennessee. And
where is Santa Fe for all of those people?
It's located just kind of out in the middle of nowhere, the boonies, as far back in the woods as I could get. It's close to Leapers Fork.
Yeah.
You go left, you're in Columbia. You go right, you're in Dixon, and about 16 miles each way. So we have
You're right. It's out in the middle of nowhere.
We've got a little 13-acre farm out there and raising 2 beautiful babies, and we're just happy as we can be.
Only way to do it.
So here's Kentucky Blue. Kentucky Blue, bird on a record I found. Keith Whitley soothes my soul. On this road I'm heading down. It ain't nothing new, same thing I did yesterday. I'd like to leave this town, but my heart don't know the way. Yeah, but I'll keep trying to dig out of this hole with a shovel in hand. But the further I go down, it feels like sinking sand. Oh, she left me down in Tennessee, along with her memory too. Now I'm Kentucky Blue. Well, I thought she cared, but it's clear to see she don't. She said she'd always be around. Yeah, but I know now that she won't. So I guess I lose. No winner either way. I used to live for her, and now I'm digging my own grave. Yeah, but I'll keep trying to dig out of this hole with a shovel in hand. But the further I go down, it feels like sinking sand. Oh, she's somewhere in Bowling Green with her somebody new, and I'm Kentucky Blue. Oh, she broke my heart in Tennessee, and I'm Kentucky Blue.
Hi, this is Angela McHouston, and you're listening to The Business Side of Music.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Hi, this is Vinny Rebus, the founder of Indie Connect. Our goal is to ensure that you have the knowledge, the tools, skills, resources, and connections that you need to develop a profitable and long-lasting career in music. One way we do this is through these Business Side of Music podcasts. I'd also like to invite you to check out Indie Connect magazine, our free multimedia online publication packed with practical interviews and advice from music industry experts. Go to www.indieconnectmag. That's www.indieconnectmag.com. Let us walk with you and guide you every step of your musical journey.
You're listening to the business side of music.
This is Bob Bender in the studio today with Billy Droze. Heard a little bit of Kentucky Blue as we got started there. That was off of his first album, To Whom It May Concern, but you got a new one coming out now.
We have a little baby girl coming, so I want to have the baby girl here, everything fine, then we're going to stick the record out.
2 kids coming.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
One is a
Love of
little
music.
human being, and the other one looks like a CD.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, very
So-
cool. Hey, and there's a story that I came across, and I want to get back to it because obviously it's coming out on your own label now, RBR Entertainment. Anybody's looking, that's how to find it. Redbird Records is the name of the label, and not only is Billy the artist, but he's also the label head, and we want to talk about that a little bit. But I want to bounce back because you talk a lot about your kids and your wife. How did that come about? Because you actually went on a tour over to Europe.
Yeah, I did my first European tour, and I just kind of wanted to get out of here for a while, and I went over there. We had some kind of crazy family hardships, and it just seemed like a really cool getaway, and it was nice. We were playing in 13 different countries over there in Europe, and a lot of Eastern Europe. We were based out of Slovakia, and we went all over. And the first big show, there was like 20,000 people there. They have like one country festival or bluegrass festival a year in this town of this country of Lithuania. The name of the town was, I'm not going to say it properly, but it was Visaginas. And I was eating this bowl of whatever it was after we got done sound
A
checking.
local delicacy.
It was like goulash, I think you could call it. But anyway, I've had better. But anyway, I was eating this food and I heard this like just beautiful angelic voice coming from the stage. And so she actually sings as well. And so she was up there sound checking with her band. And I told, they couldn't really understand what I was saying, but the band that was playing with me, I told them that I'm going to marry that girl. And so, long story short, we met later on that night at an after party there that the festival had, and we were married like 6 months later. And so it's just
You weren't kidding, were you?
I wasn't. It was and it's never had a problem in 9 years.
Yeah. 2 kids later, right?
Yeah. No, but it's been very beautiful. Just like anything, it has its ups and downs. But we're very blessed, and I believe it was a total gift from God. So
And you two sing together.
absolutely.
Yeah.
She's an artist in her own right, and she sings on basically every record I've done in the last 9 years. She's an incredible singer. So it's awesome to get to do work with my wife. It's great.
Let's talk a little bit about not only the new album, but let's go down the road real quick of the new label, which is RBR Entertainment. Why, as an artist, and I'm going to ask this, I had this conversation the other day with another artist who is doing the exact same thing. They went out and started their own label. Why your own label?
Well, for me, I've been, in country music, I've been putting out my records by myself for years now, for going on 13 years. I've cut a record one record a year since I was 15 years old. So I'm turning 32 next week. And so it wasn't like this strange, uncharted territory for me to do that. It was nice because in bluegrass, I believe it's a little bit more feasible because it's a little bit of a smaller market. So if you're got your ducks in a row and you kind of get what goes on behind the scenes, it's a little bit more, in my opinion, easier to do in the genre of bluegrass. Country, it's really.
We've talked about that a little bit because the gatekeepers with country music, especially at the level of radio, it makes it tougher for an independent artist versus the major labels that are out there. You don't have that same issue.
I would say it's nearly impossible. Back in, they had a few things back 20, 30 years ago that people would slip through and have, Vern Gosdin, for example, different artists could slip in and have success on independent labels. That's just kind of unheard of now. But for bluegrass, having such a deep passion for bluegrass, I thought, well, you know what? We did the first record with Royal Rhythm, and they were great. I really love them. They're great people. And, but I just, I wanted to go, and I'm a real hands-on kind of guy. I like to produce, and I like to just be in charge of things when it comes to music, because music is such an emotion for me. It's not just it's not a hobby or a job. It's actually what I live to do. And so with that being said, starting the label just gave me A, more control, B, a lot less sleep, and C, just I don't know, just more of a way to be able to create the music that I feel like I need to create. And if it goes wrong, I can blame only me. And that's the way I look at it. So
when did the label start? When did you when did you start operations?
Well, on this particular venture, it's called RBR. I have a studio I've had for years called Redbird Studios, and so I decided let's call it Redbird Records. I have a longtime friend. We've been friends for about 10, 12 years here in Nashville, who is an accomplished songwriter and now is a music attorney. And so we decided to just sit down and draw up some papers and see if it was feasible and if it was worth my time, worth my money, and all that stuff. And we decided it was, and so he's my partner in the label. His name is Chuck Allen Floyd, and he's a great dude. And what I love about it is our paperwork's immaculate, because he's a very respected attorney here in town. And so it's just nice to because me, I would sit down and just make music 24/7. But doing when you're in charge of a business of this capacity, there's a lot of hats you got to wear, and there's a lot of things that need to be done. We have Miss Claire. It's awesome to have her on board. She handles all the publicity and marketing, and Chuck handles all the paperwork. Make sure that we're all in intact in the way we
and
need to be.
and allows you a little more of an opportunity to be that artist.
Yeah, and we started the label not just for my music. Like we've signed 2 new acts, and I think it's so awesome that I have the ability, or at least I can try to have the ability to help young artists that maybe because I come from it wasn't ever given to me, and it was something I really had to work at. And I believe, blessings along the way helped me get where I'm at. But, I mean, it's neat when you see somebody that is, a really good kid, a good person, good man or woman, and you have the ability to help them. And and you can keep them from maybe not having to sleep in their car or do this or do that. So that's why, I mean, just have a passion, and I can help them because I can tell them, hey, don't do that. That's not smart, or let's do this.
Keep them off the dirt road.
Yeah. And so for me, it's not just my music. It's just a passion. I love to produce records, and so it's a passion for me to take young artists and, if they've got what it takes, and after being in this town so long, you kind of see if you can see real quick if somebody's got what it takes or not. And so I've been real blessed to meet a lot of really cool people that we're getting ready to put some singles out on, and so we're excited about the future possibilities of RBR Entertainment. So.
Let's jump back for a second then. As the artist with this new album, you got a couple songs you're promoting at this point?
Yes, sir.
Let's
one's
hear
out
one
right now. I'll let you play that one off the record. I like doing that when I have my band with me.
All right.
But it's Cold Fed Train. I believe it debuted at number 5 on the charts, and it's at number 6 currently, I believe. So that was nice to know that we could have some charting success off the brand new label. So excuse me, we tuned because we care.
We got plenty of tape. We're good.
Digital. I was picking up CDs, and evidently tapes are coming back in.
Are they?
Isn't that crazy? I see it says we make tapes. I'm like, for what? So, but it was really neat to see that there's actually a company downtown.
I'm in a vintage hi-fi group on Facebook.
Yeah.
And as a teenager, I had a reel-to-reel machine
in
my house.
I did too.
And I would buy the pre-recorded reel-to-reels.
Yeah.
And put those on, and those are starting to make a
We're
comeback.
actually when the record comes out in March, we're actually going to do a short, about probably 300, but like a short run of vinyl. Because I think the record is kind of nostalgic in its own right, so I think vinyl would really match it.
It may be an overused word, but I think vinyl takes things a little more organic.
It's not overused, because that's exactly what it is. It's one of the most purest ways to listen to music.
I think so too.
There's nothing clogging it up.
Yeah.
And so
you're not compressing the heck out of it.
What's neat is we have some fans that actually, the older crowd, that actually have old time, like not Victrola, but old time record players.
They have the 78s,
yeah. And then you have these new kids that go and have these turntables. So it's really neat to see the contrast, but they'll play on each. They'll play on both systems. So we're excited about doing that. This is a tune called Till I Get Home, and there's a little bit of a backstory on this song, and I got the chance to record this with my dear friends the Isaacs, and they're just incredible group. But I wrote this for my sister. Me and Ronnie Bowman sat down one day, and we decided we would write a song in tribute to our sisters. Both of our sisters lost their life to domestic violence, and which is just tragic and heartbreaking, and it takes a lot to come back from something like that. And but this song gives me hope and gives me peace, and it's a tune that actually does a lot for a lot of people. I mean, there's probably not a human being alive that hasn't felt the loss of a loved one. So this song really helps them out. It's called Till I Get Home. Will you be there on banks of Jordan when I cross life's final sea? Will you be waiting somewhere up yonder when my soul is finally free? And we'll walk hand My Father's house has many mansions. Wait for me till I get home. Sometimes I grieve and sleep in sorrow. Ever since you went away, but I believe in some bright tomorrow. I'll wake up and see your face, and we'll walk hand in heaven, where the streets are pure as gold. My Father's house has many mansions. Wait for me till I get home. Angels sing hallelujah. Wait for me till I get home. Wait for me till I get home.
Billy Droze with us on this episode of The Business Side of Music.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Wow, I just joined the Music Starts Here community. This is a truly hidden gem for anyone in the music business. Whether you live in Nashville or anywhere else in the world, Music Starts Here is like a GPS for your music career. This is the place to be if you want to get advice and direction from some seriously talented musical people who have been where you want to go. Music news, events, and a great big community with resources for artists, songwriters, musicians, studio and tech, along with music business advice from pros in the industry, all on one site. Make sure you get your free profile now. Go to www.musicstartshere.org. That's musicstartshere.org.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Hey, everybody, back in the studio here, Nashville, Tennessee. This is Bob Bender, your host. Billy Droze is with us today. I'm holding in my hands, Claire Ratliff, his publicist, just handed me his copy of his new CD, a couple cuts. It's the radio promo. Renaissance is the album on RBR Entertainment, so definitely check it out. In fact, the cut that he played before we went on the break, Till I Get Home, featuring the Isaacs, we're going to play that as we finish off the show here so everybody can hear the album cut. Man, you talk about something that just blew my socks off. I got chills where you were performing that, so that's a great song. You spent some time with Shenandoah.
Absolutely.
Marty Rabin left the band. You came in.
Well, not exactly. They had some singers before me. To start the story off, like growing up in North Alabama and back in 1995 and 6, Shenandoah was the they were the rage. They were all the rage back then. And I remember Marty Rabin came to. Marty's always been a very spiritual guy, and so he came to our school. I was in kindergarten, and my teacher said they're going to have an assembly in the auditorium, and she said it was Marty Rabin from the group Shenandoah. So naturally, I was excited, and that was my first run-in with Mark. And we've been he's like a brother. I mean, he's like an older brother and very wise guy, and I've learned a lot from Marty. And so anyway, growing up there and migrating to Nashville when I was writing over at a publishing company here in town, my buddy Jimmy Urey, who is actually Nashville's a tight-knit family, but who is actually married to Sonia Isaacs now. But at the time, Jimmy they were just dating at the time and getting ready to get married, and so he decided to go out on the road with the Isaacs, playing banjo and guitar for them. He was singing lead at the time, and I begged him. I said, "Man, you gotta tell them, that I'm over here. So they were looking for a fill-in for a few tours. And so I got the job, and it was really neat. I only did about 2 tours with them as lead singer, and 2 different summers. And it was awesome. I mean, so it was an equivalent of like 12 shows. But the deal was, after that, I stayed on the road with them for 5 or 6 years, opening the shows, and it was awesome. They took me under their wing, and they taught me pretty much everything I know about touring, about road managing, about taking care of business on the road. And there was a time where I would go out with Marty and pick and sing with him on his bluegrass shows, and then the next weekend be singing with Shenandoah. So, growing up as a kid, revering this group so much, it was nice to, really get my feet wet in country music with somebody that, recognized. And I mean, it was kind of crazy, because you went from this no-name guy to never having a hit to, when you stand up on that stage and filling those shoes, they had like at least 10 number ones that you better be able to bring the mail on. Yeah. And there was a few times this guy, I'll never forget, he came up to right as we were going backstage, and he said, "You remember that time in 1984? Me and my wife, now we were sitting over there on the side of the bank, and y'all was doing this outdoor concert." I said, "Buddy, I wasn't with him in 1984. I wasn't even born yet, to be honest with you." He said, No, I remember you. I promise it was you. You was up there singing." And finally I said, "Yep, that was a great night, wasn't it?" And I just walked on. But it was neat to have so many different stories and people, that love their music so much.
And you affect so many lives. You don't realize it when you're on stage performing.
Oh, man, yeah.
You do one song, and it just hits someone in the heart, and it
what's crazy is, like, that little guy in kindergarten, which is me now, but that, maybe let's say he never came to that school that day, and I just happened to be in that school and in kindergarten. I mean, he, of course, I got it from my dad and really admired my dad, what he does. But, I mean, he told me I could. I mean, he gave me I don't even think we got to speak that day. I was a child. But he showed me that it can be done.
Yeah.
And so after that day, I was just, you weren't going to stop me ever. And so that's why, I guess, 15, 20-something years later, I'm finally getting, some success. And to me, it's all blessings. It's all God-given blessings. And it's just, I'm actually glad that my career didn't take off 10 years ago, because God knows what I would have done to mess it up. But now where I'm at, great headspace, got a beautiful family, and I'm just absolutely enjoying the ride. So,
what's the next thing for Billy Droze?
Keep making music, raising babies, and hopefully that just wherever the good Lord wants to take me, man. I'm here. I'm an open vessel, and I'm ready to just make the best music I can make. Every time I go in that studio, which is every day, I'm privileged enough to have my own studio back in the country, and got a really nice Pro Tools set up there.
And that's in Santa Fe?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's kind of like my man cave, but it's also a nice 24-track, it's not really tracks these days, but just a beautiful digital studio that just, it sounds great in there. It's something that I built with my own 2 hands, so it's makes it even better. So we go, I might feel like waking up at 4 in the morning and cutting a vocal. If I can't sleep and I'm inspired, well, I can go up there and just press record until I'm blue in the face. I mean, it's very liberating to have that at your fingertips. And so that's me. I mean, I just keep on making great music, and just pray that it keeps resonating with the folks out there. So,
how can people find you if they want to follow you?
All of the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
You got a website?
Yeah, billydroze.com. And if you still do the MySpace thing, I think it's about 14 years outdated, but I got a MySpace if you're just into that. But so billydroze.com, and just out on the road. I mean, we've been playing a lot. I just got back in from Alabama, Kentucky. I mean, we're always out doing something, and so.
And they can follow your tour dates on your website and Facebook and such?
Yes, sir. Good. And the first Thursday, you can find me here in town. First Thursday of the next 3 months, we do a bluegrass night at the Douglas Corner, and we're excited about that. And we just bring a new up-and-coming bluegrass artist, and me and my band do it, and it's a lot of fun. So we're always out somewhere making music.
Good. Billy Droze in the studio with us. His new album coming out, Renaissance. We're going to wrap things up. We're going to play the album cut of the song Till I Get Home, featuring the Isaacs with Billy Droze. Billy, welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
God bless, man. Thank you so much.
Meet me there on banks of Jordan when I cross life's final sea. Will you be waiting somewhere up yonder when my soul is finally free? We'll walk hand in hand in heaven, where the streets are paved with gold. My Father's house has many mansions. Wait for me till I get home. Sometimes I grieve and sleep in sorrow ever since you went away. But I believe in some bright tomorrow. I'll wake up and see your face. We'll walk hand in heaven, where the streets are paved with gold. My Father's house has many mansions. Wait for me till I get home. Angels sing, hallelujah. Wait for me till I get home. We'll walk streets are pure as gold. My Father's house has many mansions. Wait for me till I get home. Wait for me till I get home.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. Co-producer for the show is Vinny Rivas. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Los Angeles, California and Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound designed by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Fuson.